Pawn e2 to e4. Pawn e7 to e5. Pawn f2 to f4. Pawn d7 to d5. Pawn e4 takes d5. Pawn e5 to e4. Pawn d2 to d3. Pawn e4 takes d3. Pawn c2 to c4. Bishop f8 to b4, check. King e1 to f2. Bishop c8 to f5. Queen d1 to a4, check. Knight b8 to c6. Pawn d5 takes c6. Pawn d3 to d2. Pawn c6 takes b7, check. Pawn c7 to c6. Queen a4 takes c6, check. King e8 to f8. Pawn b7 takes a8, promoting to queen. Queen d8 takes a8. Queen c6 takes a8, check. Bishop f5 to c8. Queen e8 takes c8, check. King f8 to e7. Queen c8 to b7, check. King e7 to f8. Queen b7 takes b4, check. Knight g8 to e7. Queen b4 to b8, check. Knight e7 to c8. Queen b8 takes c8, check. King f8 to e7. Queen c8 to c5, check. King e7 to d8. Queen c5 to d6, check. King d8 to e8. Queen d6 to b8, check. King e8 to d7. Queen b8 takes a7, check. King d7 to e8. Queen a7 to a8, check. King e8 to d7. Queen a8 to b7, check. King d7 to e8. Queen b7 to c8, check. King e8 to e7. Queen c8 to c5, check. King e7 to d8. Queen c5 to d6, check. King d8 to e8. Queen d6 to b8, check. King e8 to d7. Queen b8 to b7, check. King d7 to d8. Queen b7 to a8, check. King d8 to e7. Queen a8 to a3, check. King e7 to d8. Queen a3 to d6, check. King d8 to c8. Knight b1 takes d2. Rook h8 to d8. Queen d6 to a7. Rook d8 to d7. Queen e7 to f8, check. King c8 to b7. Queen f8 takes g7. Pawn h7 to h5. Queen g7 to g5. Rook d7 to d4. Knight d2 to f3. Pawn f7 to f6. Queen g5 to b5, check. King b7 to a8. Knight f3 takes d4. Pawn h5 to h4. Knight d4 to f5. Pawn h4 to h3. Pawn g2 to g4. King a8 to a7. Pawn b2 to b4. King a7 to a8. Bishop c1 to b2. King a8 to a7. Bishop b2 takes f6. King a7 to a8. Pawn a2 to a4. King a8 to a7. Pawn c4 to c5. King a7 to a8. Bishop f1 to c4. King a8 to a7. Pawn c5 to c6. King a7 to a8. Queen b5 to b7, checkmate.